Ever wonder why some sci-fi shows feel strangely relevant, even years later? It's not always about special effects or futuristic gadgets. Sometimes it's about the stories they tell and the questions they dare to ask. Um, and let's talk about Blake 7, a series that premiered in 1978 and remarkably feels more at home in today's television landscape than many shows currently on air. Back then, it was a bit of a shock. Tight budgets meant wobbly sets, and the production wasn't exactly polished. But beneath the surface, something revolutionary was brewing. Creator Terry Nation, known for the Daleks, envisioned a dirty dozen in space. It wasn't about shining heroes, it was about flawed people caught in a desperate fight. Roge Blake, the initial protagonist, started as an idealistic rebel, but the show didn't shy away from like dismantling that idealism in particular. Blake became obsessed, reckless, and responsible for unintended consequences. It was a bold move for ABC drama at the time, refusing to sanitize the costs of rebellion. Then there's Kuravon, arguably one of the most compelling anti-heroes in sci-fi history. Brilliant, sarcastic, and emotionally detached. He constantly questioned the value of doing the right thing. He wasn't interested in redemption, embracing selfishness and occasional heroism. Uh, the rebellion itself wasn't romanticized, and it was chaotic, under-resourced, and filled with betrayal. Characters abandoned causes, argued over motives, and faced the harsh reality that power structures rarely collapse easily. Victories were fleeting, reinforcing the idea that change is rarely clean or guaranteed. Even the villains were refreshingly complex. Servalon, the Federation's antagonist, was intelligent, confident, and adaptable. And its lease. Anko-san, she outmaneuvered the heroes with charm and strategy, proving that brute force isn't always necessary. It was a far cry from the simplistic villains of the era, and perhaps the most shocking aspect was the show's willingness to kill off major characters, and no one was safe, and deaths were often sudden, unfair, and permanent. The final episode, a brutal shootout with an ambiguous ending, left viewers with no easy answers or comforting resolutions. While not always directly acknowledged, Blake's Seven's influence can be felt in series like Babylon 5, Deep Space Nine, Farscape, Firefly, and The Expanse. These shows share its themes of compromised characters, long-term consequences, and the devastating cost of rebellion. The creative team behind the upcoming revival understands this legacy. Director Peter Hoare has spoken about the show's power stemming not from lavish production, but from its meaningful storytelling. And he draws parallels to Andor, highlighting the success
of nuanced narratives over spectacle
in today's TV landscape where serialized storytelling, anti-heroes, and moral ambiguity are commonplace. Blake 7 doesn't feel ahead of its time. It feels perfectly at home, and it seems so much of that kind of single way of the way that we have. And, you know, what once seemed bleak and confrontational has become the language of modern prestige drama. It makes you wonder, did they build the future or just see it coming? Speaking of the future, you know, what's always ahead of its time? Bad jokes. Why did the spaceship break up with the planet? Because it needed some space. With that said, thanks for watching, and until next time.